Hi everybody, welcome to Shivers. For tonight's Shivers event, we're doing an online supernatural story share. Going to bring your paranormal experiences, your stories, your beliefs kind of to the table. So that's online tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Immediately following that, we're doing a DJ set with kind of like supernatural EDM, just kind of think like dark ambient vibes. So in honor of tonight's event, for today's podcast episode, I'm really going to spend the time talking about some of my favorite paranormal experiences and stories. I have talked about some of these before, but I'll bring a little bit of a fresher perspective. So, kind of going all the way to the past, I do genuinely believe that I grew up in a haunted house. I used to see this ghost around our house, and even though it was a new home, it was still the idea like the land is haunted, not necessarily just this family or this house itself. And so I always loved leaning into ghost stories, campfire stories. We would have a Halloween party and have everybody gathered around the campfire out back every year. There was always something about ghost stories that constantly brought me back. And now for Shivers, that's all I do is just tell stories around a campfire. So it's very full circle for sure. But I would also say growing up, one of the things that we would always do, even though I grew up Catholic and religious, was go to psychic fairs and go to crystal shops and go look at different things like that. So I've always loved the spiritual side of things, which is also how I got to where I'm at right now. But when I was in high school, it's when I really started like actually seeking out those experiences. I want to go to haunted locations. I want to see what I see, I feel what I find. And I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania, so right around the Scranton area. And in Scranton, there's an old tuberculosis hospital. So a group of friends and I in high school went to this old tuberculosis hospital at night. We went during the day, but we went back at night. And being able to just see how pitch black it is back there is scary enough. But then we went into the basement of one of the main buildings, and in the basement, it's just completely pitch black. So we had everybody turn off their cameras. At this point, we had iPhones, and nobody heard a thing. We're in the dead middle of the woods. Everyone in this room is completely silent. So we go back to listen and review our evidence, and the noise on the camera was like boop, boop, boop. So none of us heard that in person. We all kind of decided that it must have been one of those like old pacing machines or just simply like a heart pulse monitor from a hospital, because again, we're in the TB hospital. So that's something that would be more of like a residual haunting. It's not responding to what is actually happening in the current environment. It's something that happened there so frequently that it just completely got ingrained in the cycle and the record of that location. So that was really the best piece of evidence that I've ever captured, and one that I still talk about today, obviously. But after that, really the biggest experience I would say that I had was with Robert the Doll. So Robert the Doll is this very famous haunted doll in Key West, Florida. And I went there in 2021 for a vacation. And I was like, while I'm here, I have to see Robert. Like, this would be crazy if I came all the way here and didn't see Robert the Doll. So he sits inside of Fort East Martello Museum, which is an actual old Civil War fort from back in the day with all of these old artifacts. So there's already a lot going on. Now you're adding Robert the Doll to the equation. So this woman is kind of talking to us. We're the only people in this entire museum. And she's like, yeah, if you go down the hallway, you know the story of Robert. So the story of Robert is that Robert is just this doll from the Otto family. And the Otto family was this like very illustrious family in Key West back in the day. Robert Sr. gave Robert Jr. this doll that they also named Robert. And after Robert Jr. got this doll, all of this stuff started happening in the house. All of this stuff started happening with the family. The lore says that the slaves that were part of the Otto family were treated very badly. And so there was some sort of curse put on Robert the doll by these slaves so that it would curse the family. Nothing is proven, but there's enough evidence that says that Robert has done things. He would move through windows, he would move on his own, he would walk around the room. So up to no good, basically, little doll. So now that he sits in this museum, there are all these rules. You can't take his picture without his permission. You can't look him in the eye. Now, so many people have taken his picture over the years that they started sending apology letters. And there are so many apology letters that they now have a TV next to him that is basically just saying a new email every day. Sorry, Robert, I looked at your picture. I'm sorry, Robert, I took your picture. What's next? So that goes to show what sort of fear is already planted in people before they even go see him. So how much is being added to the story? I think there's a lot to be said there. But I will say, I was so excited to go see Robert. I was like, this is gonna be the highlight of my trip. This is great. And this whole entire museum, this old Civil War fort, is shaped in a circle. So this woman moves the curtain and you can see all the way down the hallway. And I've never felt anything like that before. It literally felt like I got hit by a bus. And two other people who were with me, one is an extreme believer of everything, the other is an extreme skeptic. As we're getting closer and closer to Robert, there's this super cute dollhouse. So I go to take out my phone and take a picture of this dollhouse, black screen, Snapchat, black, Instagram, black. Nothing that has a camera, any app that has a camera will not work, will not turn on. So protected probably, but God forbid, I took a picture where Robert in the background was hiding in the glass and then I had bad luck forever. So as we're getting closer and closer to Robert, I'm just keeping my hands completely to myself. I'm like, thank you for having us. Thank you for letting us be here. Saying my respects out loud. The person who's with me, who's a complete skeptic, just starts completely crying. And she's like, I don't know what these emotions are. Like, I don't know why I'm sad. I don't know why I'm feeling these things. I don't even like looking at him. And so going all the way to the end of the hallway, we were able to go outside and feel okay. But that to me is something that was just like completely inexplicable. I don't understand the energy around Robert. And I think that does almost incline me to believe in some of the curses and that side of the lore that the family had a curse put on the doll. Because anything spiritual, I've never really felt anything like that before. So I would say on the opposite side of Robert the doll, a place that I really expected to be haunted was the Winchester House in California. So I went to the Winchester House in November of 2025, and another bucket list location. So grateful I got to go there. But that to me was like such a hoax. It felt like more of an amusement park than it did a museum. And if you're not familiar with the Winchester House, this is a house in San Jose, California, where all of these doors and stairwells go to nowhere because Mary Winchester was very paranoid that the ghosts of the people who died by the Winchester rifle from her husband's family would come and haunt her. So I already call bullshit. We get to this place and it's very theatrical. They have tickets, they have people in their costumes. Looks like him. It looks like a guy in a complete butler outfit walking around and showing you the lay of the land. And so there's certain areas of the house that are blocked off. So it is really like a strictly guided tour. And as we're getting different places, they're making comments about Mary Winchester and how like she liked the house to be warm because she thought that the spirits were too cold. She built a seance room so that she could have contact with her husband and see what he wanted to do to apologize to these others. But no, this is a lady who's summoning demons and trying to escape a deal. Go watch the movie Night House. I'm going to build a house to completely confuse you and try to trap you inside so that I don't have to own up to my end of the bargain, my agreement. You can't find me. That's literally what the Winchester House is. So I was so surprised. I've really never heard somebody's take this side of it before, that Mary Winchester is using that house to conjure and trap demons. But I mean, that's my belief. So that's my also sort of hot take. I would love now to go to the Lizzie Borden house. I've never been, and sort of think of the same way. Is it really just storytelling? Are we really bringing just the theatrics to the table? I don't know. But outside of that, my other experiences have been at Eastern State Penitentiary and Pennhurst Asylum. So Eastern State is in Center City, Philadelphia, which is just super cool because you have this giant old institution in the middle of a busy center city. So preserving that piece of history, I think, is lovely. But I always expected there to be something like really creepy feeling there or something, but absolutely nothing at all. And that was a little bit disappointing, but they did have a Halloween. I think they still do, but they did have a Halloween haunted like walkthrough at night. And that is scarier than going there with any paranormal intentions, because going down those dark hallways and the corridors and seeing the jail cells, they're cool, but they're really scary at night. So that was a little bit disappointing. I wouldn't go out of your way to make a trip. I would go there more for the architecture than anything else. But Penhurst Asylum is true to my heart. Talk about Penhurst all of the time. I have such an absolute love, and I kind of don't know why, for Penhurst at this point. I just feel really comfortable being there. And even from a paranormal perspective, I think that what Penhurst does fantastically is tell the truth about the history of their location and the building and what's actually going on and the mistreatment of patients, and kind of like outwardly still apologizing for it. And I think that might be a reason why, to me, it just feels good there, because it's the idea of like, we've made peace with the bad things and we're just sort of happy that people know the truth. That's the vibe that I get. But I did go there with my another colleague of mine, and she was very headstrong about like, this place has a lot of spirits. This place has a lot of paranormal activity. There are certain wards that used to be like the violent ward or the men's ward. And I like the fact that they don't tell you until you already go through it, because you don't go in there with that preconceived notion of, well, something's going to happen because it's the male ward or the violent ward. So of course something's going to happen here. You don't know that. So you're just walking through and seeing what you see, which is paranormal investigating 101. But outside of just walking through those buildings and feeling different types of vibes, there's not too much. Like, I don't think I've ever met anybody who has gone to Penhurst who feels scared. But yeah, I mean, those are most of my paranormal experiences. Those are the places that you can still kind of go today. I will also say there's a couple of places in North Carolina, but they are much more strict on like private property. And I think that that's really disappointing, to not be able to let people have that paranormal knowledge or experience because you want to make money and save your location. So, for example, there's a place called the Devil's Tramping Ground, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's this idea, there's just a patch of dirt and you try to sleep on it and you wake up somewhere else. You try to put a water bottle on it, you walk away and there's something else. So no one has figured out what's going on with this Devil's Tramping Ground, this portal, essentially. And when I first moved here, I was able to go there. I walked through it. It feels kind of funky, but like, there's nothing that I necessarily got of substance. And now there's one single woman who purchased the land, and now it's labeled private property because she doesn't want people on it. But like, why? It's literally in the middle of nowhere. So that's my gripe, I will say. I try not to put my opinions on here too much, but I think that preserving paranormal history is just as important as preserving actual history. The more that we can tap into the idea of like ghosts essentially being like stamps of time, I think there's a lot that we can learn. And it doesn't have to be entertainment purposes of like ghost hunters or ghost adventures, but preserving the history and telling the story correctly, maybe through an accurate source of something like a timestamp that already exists. That's my drive. That's my motivation. Also, the storytelling, the folklore. So I'll shout out my friends Beyond the Grave, a group of people from northeastern Pennsylvania, kind of getting things going with the paranormal there. But one of the things that we all grew up knowing was the Suskin Screamer. And part of the Suskin Screamer was the idea that it was kind of half-truths. One side of the story said the Suskin Screamer was this person up in Suskin who died on a bike, and if you turned all your lights off and you drove fast on the road, then the bike would come through your car. The other side of it says that the Suskin Screamer is actually this like bridal woman, and if you see a bride walking on the side of the road, you pick her up, take her home because she's walking away from her wedding night, get to her front door and she's not there anymore. So there's a lot of debate on what's the actual story of the Suskin Screamer. But the other side of it is, how many locations have that bride story? How many locations have the kid who died on the bike who's going to come through your car? Folklore is just as important as paranormal, because we need to know where the stories started. Who started the rumor? Who started the story? So the more you can get to the origins of any of these locations, even when you are going on an actual ghost hunt, the more you can get to the core of the truth, the more that you will find peace with whatever it is that you do find there. And if you are someone who's going out to these haunted locations, just make sure that you're keeping yourself energetically protected. No matter what you believe in, just imagine a bubble of white light around you. I'm protected. Anything that is here stays here. Anything that belongs to me comes back with me. So it's really all you need to know. But do what you can to be safe, explore, dig into the truth. Hope this was entertaining. And if you're free tonight, and you're listening to this today, then join us on Discord, on the Shivers Discord, public Discord, Shivers Haunted, for a paranormal, supernatural chat and DJ session.